Hey YouTubers, welcome to my channel. It's KnottNutts. We got something a little different today, related to paracord, but also one of my hobbies. So what I got here is my little sling kit, and I've got a couple of slings here that I wanted to show you. We are in mid-December here, and in Kansas it's a beautiful day. So I thought I'd get out and do some hobbies that I like to work with. I got a sling here. Most paracord slings I've seen are, honestly, they're crap. They don't work well. And so I got a couple ideas that I made that I wanted to share with you. This first proof of concept that's going to be a prototype here in a few seconds is this is a purpose-driven sling. Let me see if I can find my ammo for it right quick. Yeah. I made this specifically for slinging these 1-inch steel ball bearings that fit in this socket real nice. At my first try at this, it was more like this, which is kind of a sling design you may have seen in the past, but made out of paracord. We'll get to that in a minute. And I made this, even though this socket is so small, the ball bearing would just slip right through that. So I had to kind of invent a little bit of webbing that went through there. And the other thing that I wanted to do, which I do with a lot of my paracord projects, is I wanted to make it adjustable. If you can see this nut here compared to where this is, I made it adjustable so you could slide the socket up and down this string. That way you could have a sling that you could adjust this knot down and then move the sling, and you'd have a longer or shorter sling depending on your needs. That doesn't really work in practice very well, because when you put your ammo in here and stretch your sling out, the string that goes right through the middle tends to pop the ball right out of the socket. We're going to test this with some small rocks here in a minute. And then you saw this other sling that I got here. This is kind of just a take on an old leather sling. I think I have one in my other pocket. Yes, a leather sling. And I've started making these recently just because I saw this old sling design. It's just made out of a couple of straps of leather crossed over each other so that it kind of forms a kind of a pocket, kind of a concave shape there for your projectile to fit in. Works pretty good, but it only accepts the right kind of ammo. If you get the ammo that's the wrong kind, it'll just tend to slip right through. Too small, too smooth, whatever. So I'm gonna give my first sling here a couple goes so you can kind of see how this one works, and then we'll move on to the pink one so you can see how that one works. You can see the kind of rocks that I got to, the projectiles that I got to work with here, pretty slim pickings. They're all jagged, and that one's way too big. Okay, this one's, no, that's not good. Okay, that's better. That'll fit in that socket pretty good. And I'm going to try and give it a whirl and see what... Well, pretty good. Nice. So it was a proof of concept a few seconds ago. Now it's a prototype. I would put that steel ball bearing in there, but I'm not going to check it into this river and never be able to get back. Surprisingly, that works better than I thought it would. So maybe with a couple of tweaks, this adjustable sling here will work just fine, actually. Even with a bigger pocket, might throw bigger rocks, no problem. Which is kind of would be a kind of a neat way to start off slinging when you don't know what length of sling works best for you. You can try different lengths with the ammo that you have on hand. So obviously a ball bearing would work in there, but a bigger projectile like that is going to be a no-go with that sling. So this is my paracord version of that leather design I showed you a few minutes ago. Let's find a bigger projectile that'll work. That's pretty good. That's about pretty good size projectile, very ragged shape. It barely fits in the socket there. No, it just fell right out. So something a little smaller, like this. It's about half the size of my palm. Let's try this one, see what happens. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Oh, that one didn't make it around. A flat one. See if I can get it to skip across the water. Nope. So that's kind of funny. The sling that I thought was going to work better is not working very well at all. That's the problem with these paracord slings. Oh, there we go. Got one on that. Maybe I just need a little practice with it. Another one. Yeah. You got to get the right size ammo for this sling, right size and shape. And while there's a million rocks out here, of course I can't find the size that I think are going to work well. Here's part of the problem with this design. You may or may not have been able to see that on camera, but when you're holding it like this, and then you put some weight in it, and you start to sling it around, it's not because of the socket, it's because of these two connection points cause the sling to wobble. And even if you get your rock, your projectile, whatever you're putting in there, to fly out, it's going to come out a lot of times at a bad angle where you're not really hoping that it'll go that way. But in a pinch, this would definitely work. But we can do better. One more sling. My neckerchief here, it's made out of an old bandana. It's actually a face mask. It works really good. If you put this, I've sewn a paracord loop on here, just a loop for my finger to go through that sticks out of the corner of where the bandana goes, and then I sewed the two arms down, I don't know, 3-4 inches down the side of each side of the bandana there, so that it'll reinforce that and make it stronger. Otherwise this would just rip right out of here. So you just take your finger loop and put it where your finger is, and then kind of wrap that around, and you find a projectile. Now obviously this is not going to be, it only, you know, I don't know how long that is. That's probably 16, 17, 18 inches, something like that. It's just not going to give you a lot of oomph, but it will get a projectile to go further than you can throw it by hand. So let's try it, see how it goes. There's no knot tied in this release cord. I'm just holding on to it. Whoa. One thing that's nice about this is you may already have a bandana like this laying around. Nice. Those are going 50 yards easy, if I had to guess. And now, I sure didn't invent this. This is a copy of something I saw when I was in Africa. These little kids out in the streets were just slinging rocks at each other, and some of them just had like a strip of cloth. And I was into slings at that time, and I had taken a sling with me to Africa, but every time I tried to get close to those kids to find out what was going on, they'd run off. So I was there as a soldier, so they were probably scared that something bad was going to happen, and took off in the other direction. You can also use this, those crazy kids, without the loop. It's pretty easy. You do the same thing, kind of get your bandana like this, kind of roll it up, or you can even fold it over, whatever looks good for you. Stick this between your finger and then wrap it around your finger like that, or the other way. I like it around my middle finger. Once around and sticking out the other end for an improvised sling. You're down at the river like I am, and you just want to sling some rocks, but you didn't bring your sling, but you do have a bandana. No problem. Well, there's some rocks out here I might try foot napping with later. And okay, so this one is here just no official loop, just kind of an improvised thing. That worked great. That worked awesome. These little kids throwing rocks at each other. If you didn't have a sling, they were chucking them by hand at each other. And I just thought that was a horrible, dangerous game, but they seemed to really enjoy it, unless they were getting hit by the rock. Then they cried a lot. So anyway, that's some sling designs I made, some prototypes. I made this one just today, and those other two I made them over the course of the days. I was just waiting for some weather to break to get out here to the river and throw some rocks. And mission accomplished. So this worked about like I thought it would, although I think there's probably some modifications. Maybe if I just practice with it a little bit more, it would work better. This is my everyday carry sling. It's made out of paracord and some nylon that I scavenged from an old gym bag, and I just sewed it into kind of a pouch, and this one works great. I like this one a lot. Because of this pouch design, it really is more versatile than this, I think. It will accept a wider variety of ammo, and I can even get these flat rocks to skip across the water sometimes. When I was in Africa, all those kids, they were all slinging overhead like this. Whoa! That was a pretty good skip. When you do these skips, it matters how you seat this stone in the socket. And I found that an overhead twirl like this works pretty good. Oh, that one went way off the side. We're in a safe location for that because right behind the camera there's a big berm going straight up. So if I did have a rock slip out of the socket behind me, it just hit into this berm here. Oh, I was going to try this. Give this a couple more tries. It seems like this rock that I have in here is way too big for it, but let's see. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. They just fall right out. This design sucks. I think with a modification or two, it might be usable in the field. Rocks are just sliding right out of there. And maybe with different, like smooth projectiles like you might find in a riverbed, would work better than these jagged stones that I'm trying to sling out of this. So please like and subscribe, and if you want this sling, let me know. I'll send it to you. Maybe you'll have better luck with it than I did. Peace out. Alright, so I forgot I left out a part here from my bandana sling, and I am really impressed with how well this short piece of cloth just wrapped up with a tiny little finger loop works as a sling. I had an idea. So say you're wearing your bandana here as a face mask during the pandemic. I just put the end of the bandana through the loop I made out of paracord there, put it over my face, and then I just slide this up snug, and that's really all that it requires to keep it on my face. If you want to, you can tuck this end in like that, and then it's not hanging out. And if you felt the desire to sling a rock, take it off and it's ready to go. One disadvantage, and I'm finding out now that it's not really a huge disadvantage, if you're just out to try and sling some rocks, this works great just the way this is. But if you wanted to put a little more power on it, I got an extender here. Let's see how this works. I'm just gonna, it's just another piece of paracord with a small loop and a big loop. I'm gonna attach this by putting this loop through the loop on my bandana and making a cow hitch. And now I've made a longer sling. Let's see how this works. Proof of concept, becoming a prototype right before your very eyes. Now, yeah, I kind of felt like that was going to happen. I think in order for this to work well, you'd have to make this end of the bandana a little wider, like maybe with some duct tape or something, or sew some nylon on there or something. Pretty good. Let's see if I can get a nice projector. Oh, that's looks like a good one there. Okay. Proof of concept, now a prototype. Okay, so maybe I can see on the video rewind, but that felt like this part of the bandana interfered with the throw when I released the projectile, so maybe it's important to wrap that up. And you could, I brought with me a rubber band that you could just kind of wrap around this to kind of keep this from unraveling every time. Just go around there a couple times. It doesn't need to be fancy. You could tie that, you could actually tie this in a knot, or you could have another piece of string. It wouldn't have to be a rubber band. You could just easily improvise. You got to think that this is one of man's earliest weapons, so this had to be adaptable easily by manufacturing it from a variety of materials. Now see, I'm just making that socket wider to fit my ammo. That works really well. Oh, it got caught up in there. Okay, so maybe another, if I got another rubber band, and I do, I'm going to put it closer to this end down here to kind of form a socket. Let's see what happens. I wasn't expecting that to get caught in there. I've never had that happen before, but I've never worked with a sling like this before either. Okay, so I'm going to move this up a little bit. So we're seeing my invention working firsthand. Okay, so last time the rock went inside. When I spread this out to make a bigger pocket, the rock went inside those folds and got caught up in there. Now hopefully with this rubber band here, that'll stop that from happening. Let's see. That one almost straight up in the air. Okay, let's try this again. Better. Oh, here's a good one. Maybe, seems like when I widen this out to make a pocket, it doesn't work very well, so. It seems to bind up in there when I release. And it seems like if I don't give it a lot of oomph before I let go, it seems to fly out of there a lot better. And I'm getting good distance on it, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's try an overhand throw. Nice. So I think with just a little bit of playing around with this here, a little bit of practice, you can probably do all right. Even with the regular shaped projectiles, I kind of had a feeling that one wasn't going to come out of there properly. 5 million rocks here. You'd think I could find a million good ones. This is kind of big for this, I think, probably. Let's find out. Let's try an overhand throw. Seems to stay in the socket when I swing it around. That's good. With a little bit of practice, this is the serviceable, usable sling. And the wear point on this is going to be where this loop is that I sewed onto this, and I don't see any signs of it coming apart yet. And I was afraid that all these jagged rocks that I'm putting in here would tear this material up pretty quickly, but I don't see any signs of wear on this bandana yet. And this is not good material. Like if I held this up, you could probably see right through it. It's pretty flimsy material. So anyway, check out the river. This is what I got to work with. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.